Okay, for this cardigan that I am knitting, I am going to be using the Knit Picks Tough Puff. And I've heard people say, oh, that seems like it's probably too rough to go against my skin. And I have used this before for my very first project that I did. And it was this same cardigan actually. And I used green and pink for that cardigan. And I found that it was fine. You know, it's softer than you would think being called Tough Puff. But I think it's fine for using like for a cardigan or something like that. So you're gonna usually have something underneath your cardigan that's touching your skin first. But even when I had this just, you know, against my arms, it was fine. The only place I would be more sensitive is if it were just like maybe on my chest or neck, you know, like rubbing it or something, but it's softer than it seems like it would be. It's pretty soft, but it is wool. So if you're sensitive to wool and you're not sure, a cardigan is a good place to use it. I'm gonna be using a lot of colors. So I like to use yarn like I use paint. So I have pink, I have chartreuse, I have this pale pink. It's flamingo chartreuse. This one is called Pucker. I love that fluorescent pucker. I have Sky. This one is Macaw. And then the cream is called White. It's a cream, it's not like a bright white. I have Silver, which is gray. Scuba and Orange. So I haven't decided if I'm using all of these colors or exactly how I'm using them yet, but this is definitely a nice palette to start with. The cardigan that I'm gonna be making is the Mimico cardigan, which you saw in my very first knitting video. So this pattern calls for size US 11 or 8mm, 9mm, 12mm, and 15mm circular needles. Some of them 24-inch, some of them 16-inch. My set, the Knit Pick set, goes up to a size US 17, not a 19, but I'm gonna use those instead of the 19 because I knit loose anyway, and I feel like the cardigan, it runs big enough that it will be fine. So because I need all of these different size needles and different size these, I'm so glad to have this kit. I have these, last time I did this, I was like trying to purchase all these different needles with different sizes, and it was really hard to locate them. And to have needles where I can just keep the wire on, I can keep it on the cardigan and just unscrew the needles and switch them out. So I have size 17, which is 12mm, and then size 15, size 13, is 11, and they are all in my jumbo needle kit from Knit Picks. I'm really excited to be using my circular needles and my Tough Puff and to make the Mimico cardigan. So let's see what happens next. Okay, the next thing I need to do is make my color decisions. So it's really hard. You have all these different colors. And I know that while I'm knitting, I might change this, but let's talk about color. So on the color wheel, opposite colors are called complementary colors. And red and green, or pink and green, are opposite each other on the color wheel. So if I did these two, like my past cardigan, that would be like complementary colors. Orange and blues, and that would be complementary colors. Yellow green would be complementary to violet, red violet, which I don't have. But even if I did yellow, green, and pink, that would be fun. Analogous colors are next to each other on the color wheel. They have a color in common, and you can see how pretty these look together. Both contain red. Orange is made with red, pink is made with red, and this is like a peachy pink, so it's almost just like a lighter version of this, but with a little more red. Anyway, so those look really pretty together. We have green and yellow green, or green and blue. These are analogous colors. The pink, and this is like a peachy pink, like I said, so it's kind of like as if it were next to each other on the color wheel. Pink and orange, just gotta love it. And then we have these like neutrals. We have the gray and the white. And these are really fun. I think it's fun to pair a really bright color with a neutral, or to like give your eyes a little rest by adding in some white. So like if you did these two and you had areas that had some of the white in there, or something like this. It's really fun to just like play with colors and see what you get. A triad would be red, yellow, and blue, which I don't have, or blue, green, and violet. I don't have violet, but I have blue. I have these, which are analogous, plus the opposite of one of them, which I like to call a faux split complementary. It's really fun to play with color, but really you don't have to follow any of the rules. You can just make them up. You can just do the colors that make you feel happy. If you want to know more about color, you can check out my guidebook to wearing happy color. It's called Wear Happy Color, and it shows you how to use color in your wardrobe and your sewing, knitting, anything, but just it's all about color and how to implement it into your wardrobe. And it is available on my website at katiekortman.com. Check it out. Okay, so I did a rough drawing. I got out a bunch of markers that sort of matched the colors I had. And I'm just trying to brainstorm how I want to do the stripes of color. I'm not sure how much of the yarns I'm gonna have left when I get to the sleeves. So I just kind of planned out the body, and then I know the sleeves come last. So this is my rough idea, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I want to show you just how amazing these needles are compared to my other needles. But first, if you haven't knitted with bulky needles and yarn, then you might never have needed to have these stoppers. But I find with like the smaller yarn, I can just push my work onto the cable and everything's fine. But with these bulky yarns, they kind of try to slip off if I just shove everything into my knitting bag. And so I really like having stoppers on there. These are Cocoa Knits, and you can find them all different places on different shops have them. But I got a pack of all the different bulky size, bulky needles. Okay, so I just want to show you. So I have been only knitting since April, but I've knitted quite a few garments already. And I've been using mostly circular needles, and I find that the transition from the cable to the bottom of the needle and up onto here, it can get really frustrating because the loops get smaller as they get close to the cable, and then you have to enlarge them to get back onto the needles, especially when it's with a big size needle. And I have not had that problem, not one time on this garment. And I believe it's because of how smooth these are. It has a really smooth transition. And because this is metal and not just plastic or wood, it just slides on there so nicely. And then I find that these are really smooth, and they must have been coated in something because they are faster to knit with than regular bamboo wood needles. Not probably as fast and smooth as metal ones, but I am not ready for those yet because I'm not ready to have my loops kind of fall off or whatever. But anyway, so I just have really enjoyed knitting with these. Okay, so here's where I am so far. Color blocking. I started with this chartreuse and then switched to the, I don't know what this color is called, but it's like a peacock blue, light blue, fluorescent pink. Then I did this stripe with the cream and the chartreuse, then the orange, then pale pink, and then ended with chartreuse.
And I did extend the length of the pattern. It was probably supposed to stop around here. Also made the width bigger because I was using size 17 needles instead of size 19 needles, but I have a pretty loose knit, so it turns out I actually didn't need to do that. And this comes out more than it should because I kept increasing here. And so I'm hoping that that's not so evident when I wear it. This is the first sleeve I've gone back to work on. So this is where I ended. And so I had the fluorescent pink, and I have that on both sides, the blue and the fluorescent pink. And then I decided to do orange, a little bit of pink, orange, cream, and now I'm doing green. So it sort of lines up with this stripe right here. And then I probably won't follow the same pattern as here, but I want to do something, maybe even one solid color to the end. We'll see. So I have to check what colors I have left and how much of them that I have.